Welcome to this second video where we'll be addressing the handout number one. In this case, we'll be talking about the bass clef. Uh, Most of you are already really familiar with bass clef. Nevertheless, in case that you have you want to review this topic, well, here's the opportunity. So, the bass clef is usually used for instruments that play a low pitch, right? Like a low range pitch. Um, for example, like this comes to my mind right now, something like the tuba, right, in the orchestra, or the trombone, the double bass, uh, the cello, right? Just to mention some instruments, and also like usually we use the bass clef in the piano, particular to play um, the the left hand. So that's some of the cases where the bass clef is used. So in this case, I'm putting here, as you can see, the the note on the staff, and then the name of the note right here. So there is nothing really much to add to this. Nevertheless, if you are still learning the bass clef, I will suggest to because sometimes we can get confused because we might not really well the treble clef, or we might not be used to the bass clef. So I'm leaving here um, a piece of advice, right? What you could probably do to get more familiar with bass clef. So in this case, I'm suggesting, for example, if you already know really well the treble clef, to, for example, bring your attention to either the line or the space above the note that is written. For example, in this case, if I didn't see that it's a bass clef and it was like a treble clef, like the first thing that I will think about this note is a D, right? But in this case, if I'm using the bass clef, I one strategy that I can use is, instead of looking here where this D is, I will just kind of look to the next line over here. So F. Same case for this note, right? I will just look into what I will be in treble clef will be an A. Just I will look a little bit up to the next space, and it will be a C in bass clef, right? So in this case it's an F. So I'm looking to the line uh, top of the note that is written, and here we look into the space in top of the note that is written. So F, C, A, B, G, E, F, E, right? So this one strategy that could kind of help you to get familiar with the bass clef, in case you are not. So just a piece of advice might be helpful. Well, it's up to you to decide if it's something that you might find useful, right? So, and here is like I added explanation that is given on musician software about the bass clef. So, and musician proposed also a way to learn the notes, first of all from all the spaces, and then from the notes on the lines. And here is like some phrases that could help for you to remember um, where the notes are located. So this is something that is that musician proposed for you to learn the names of the bass clef. So well, again, that might be useful for you. Great. Um, and then other topic that we are covering this week is cadences, right? So we're gonna focus on four. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger here. Four particular cadences: the perfect or authentic, the imperfect or half, the plagal, the interrupted or deceptive, right? And I put here some sensations. I want to talk about sensations like what this kind of impression might give you, right? So this is something that I personally get from these cadences. Doesn't mean that it's something universal, right? But I just want to point it out in case that this might be useful for you to just gonna get a sense about which cadence make you feel. So, but this again, this is just my impression, right? For example, the in the authentic and perfect is like finish and ending is stability or resolute. So pretty much when you get from the fifth degree to the first, it's feel like an ending, right? It's where you might it's how it's the way that most of the pieces finish, right? In in uh in the music that we hear every day, most of the pieces finish kind of with this one, with this kind of cadence. It's one of them. Well, I would say that perhaps it's the most common cadence that is used in music to finish a song, right? A piece. So, and then imperfect, in my opinion, the sensation is attention, right? Asking for a solution is looking for something else. Um, yes, so in this case, I said that in this case, the fifth degree can be followed by the second, fourth, or sixth, right? The idea here is that you will end this section with tension, and the play I will say resolute. That's kind of sensation again, kind of stability. At least for me, that's what I feel. And then the deceptive or interrupted is something is unfinished. Is pausing to start a new section, suspended. So in my opinion, it's also stable at some degree, but not quite. It's kind of like I would say like a semicolon. If we were using a term in writing, for me it seems like a semicolon. Something like idea is complete, but it might have something else that is coming after this idea. Well, now let's hear um, how these cadences sound. In this case, I will be using MuseScore, which is one of the software that I'm using to write the exercises. I'm also using GarageBand to do some other exercises and also a different um, app on the iPad, which I'll be talking about that app later when I record something on the iPad. For one of the videos, I will talk a little more about that. But currently, I'm using this software, which is MuseScore, which has worked really, really well. So anyway, I'm going to be playing these cadences so you can hear it two times each cadence. First of all, the perfect, which is uh, fifth degree to first degree. Good. So again, let's go here again. The, the perfect. Perfect. Now let's hear the imperfect, which, as it was suggested here, imperfect has a sensation of tension that needs to continue, that is not resolute, right? Let's hear it. And let's compare again the imperfect with the perfect. Now the imperfect. Now let's hear the plagal. I don't know if you agree with me, but this one has again this sensation of that is resolution, right? Let's hear it again. And let's play the imperfect and then the play goes just to have a reference for something that asks for a resolution and then something that do not ask for a resolution. I'll move this here. Okay. Asking for a solution and then do it. This one do not ask for resolution. It is that one. The player lack of is lacking tension, right? Which the imperfect have a lot of tension. So now go the interrupted, right? Like I was saying, for me, it's like a if we were using some writing language, it would be for me it would be like semicolon. So it's in a way it's a resolution, but it's not an ending. Again, let's hear the interrupted. Good. And now I want to um, talk about the core. We'll make this a bit bigger now. The function. Well, before moving to the um, function of the chords in a major and minor scale, I want to say that these cadences will be used in the next step when we address the topic of chord progressions. When we use the chord progressions, we'll be using these cadences. So now, it's important just to learn um, how those sound. You can use a music app, or if you have a piano or a guitar, you can if you have a chance to play it like uh, also in real life, that's even better because you get the sound right from the instrument. But in case that you cannot do it through the instrument, you can use a software to play these cadences so that you're getting used to these cadences. Um, these will be used in the following weeks, and you will hear actually these cadences in the context of a chord progression. So for now, just to get used to the sound of these cadences. Okay, now we go to the function of the chord in a major and minor scale. Well, this is important to know because um, eventually we'll be using these scale degrees in our chord progressions, as you will see in the next handouts and the next videos. In this case, um, first of all, I use C major as as a base for for this scale. Here I wrote down the degree scale degree, and then what is the function of each scale degree. The tonic is a scale degree that is or a function for a degree that is for that has a lot of stability. Is the way that I will say it, like stability, right? And then the subdominant, um, the quality is that is usually looking for movement, either to a tonic, to a different subdominant, or to a dominant. In this case, when you have a subdominant, you can either go to another subdominant, or you can go to a dominant, and then or either go to a tonic. So in some way, the dominant is a chord, well, that is really good to make transitions, right? In this case, when using when in a major key, in this case, like we are here in C major, um, this subdominant will be you can find those in the second and fourth degree. So, and then as we saw before, for example, the first degree at the end of cadence, we can is what we for example, we can find it in the perfect and the plagal, right? So uh, because in some way those have a sense of ending, but like I said before, usually the sixth degree has a it's like an ending, but not uh, quite for a resolution. It's something that is looking for something to be added, right? But it still has like the function of just to kind of a place to stay, right? Like in some way lacks of that tension that you can find, for example, in the fifth degree or in the seventh, right? So in this case, here are all the functions in the for each one of the chords, right? Here I wrote the name of the chord, and then here I just use them the lyrics, right? And as I mentioned now here, and something you already know, like when we are talking about a minor chord, we usually put the M next to the letter, but when we are talking about a major chord, we do not put any any letter. Just kind of we take for granted that it's a major chord. In when we have a diminished chord, we usually put this circle. We put this circle. Um, for an augmented is this symbol that's equal to plus, right? In some depending on the music that you're playing. For example, sometimes uh, they change uh, the circle for something like this, like what I'm writing right now here. You will find something like this. Sometimes it will be the circle or the uh, or these three layers for dim, right? For diminished. So you can either find it the B plus the little circle on the top, or B adding the dim, right? In the case of augmented, uh, you can find like this case, for example, with a plus symbol, or you can see sometimes something like this, aug, right, like augmented. But that's a different way to say something. Uh, but yes, you can either find them with in this case with a little circle here with the plus, or as I mentioned with the little word dim or aug, right? In the case of diminished and augmented. So just for you, in case that you see either the symbol or the words, right? So, and then here's the structure for the minor harmonic scale. In this case, I use the harmonic, which, if we remember, is the one that has raised the seven degree. In this case, I'm using as a base C minor. So the note that will be raised will be B. It will go from B flat, which is here in the key, and if I raise that by half of tone, it will go from B flat to a B natural. And if we do that, it gives us the leading note, right, in a scale from B to C, right? So as we were talking in the previous course, um, the harmonic scale has just by raising that 7 degree fulfill the need, right, in Western music for this leading tone, but also will allow us the fifth degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, it will be G major, right? We start counting this as a one, right? Uh, for the fifth degree to be a major chord, which will allow us to have a chord that has tension, right? Usually, like that's that is something that is really important for a dominant chord to have tension. And if we were not to have this this B flat, then we will have a minor chord, right? It will be a G minor, but by having raised the 7th degree, we get here B a B flat. Therefore, it gives us a chance to have a major chord, which is important to have that dominant um, to be a dominant, right? So I want to play this the chord function in the minor harmonic scale. So let's hear it again. Okay, for example, here, as you can see in both examples, I still put the first degree just as a way to conclude the whole section. But it's actually repeating again the same chord as the beginning, just in an octave that is uh, higher, right? But it's the same chord as here. I want to mention that this third degree is because it's an augmented chord. Um, I put it as a subdominant because this chord will either um, is asking for, in my opinion, to move somewhere, right? It's not something that for me sounds like a subdominant slash dominant, right? In this case, I just label as a subdominant, but at least in my opinion, that also serve well as a dominant. But it's really up to you what kind of how that serves you, like when you if you are using it. I need to say at this time for this course we are not using this this chord or the and also the third degree we are, is not part of our the chord progression that we're using. We are using more basic chord progression, so I just wanted to point that out. But you don't really need to worry about this chord, honestly, at this point. So, but I did wanted to mention it because it's here. Because otherwise, um, yeah, I think it's worth it to bring that talk about this chord. But again, it's not something that will be focusing during this course, as you probably already saw that on the course outline, and you will see also in the following uh, handouts. We will be focusing mainly this course on chord progression that goes from first degree. I will start with with the major keys. So the chord progression that we will be focusing will be um, 1, 4, 5, 1. The other will be 1, 4, 5, 6, and the other will be 1, 2, 5, 1. And the same goes for the minor scale. We will go 1, 4, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 1, 2, 5, 1. So you will see that you will see those chord progressions reflected um, on the chord outline. So again, for now, we'll be particularly focusing on that, and also we'll be using one chord progression that is 1, 4, 5, but the 5 will be with a seventh, right? So we will add that component, but yeah. So I won't go deeper right now on that because we will be addressing that in the following videos. But I just wanted to mention that. And here's a glossary where you can see if you have some kind of doubt about what I'm using, some of the symbols, you can come here to check it out and just make sure that we are on the same page. So, and this is pretty much everything for this first video, and we will see. We'll be addressing the following topics in the upcoming video number 3, which will be addressing the handout number 2. Okay, I hope you um, also you can visit um, the musician software to practice uh, cadences and practice your bass clef in case that you feel that you might need some practice. But like I said, most of you already know really well the bass clef, but well, there is the space in musician to practice uh, this, the cadences, and pretty much all the content that we'll be um, covering during this term. So, okay, thank you.